Hi, everyone, and welcome. We are going to be talking about how radiant we can live. We're going to thrive in the prime of our life. This information comes from an article by Health Realizations about the ways to be better conditioned than when you were in your teens and your 20s, and how you can achieve better health conditions when you are over 50. If you have any questions, please feel free to give Dr. Justine a quick text at 647-987-9355. Dr. Justine is our leader here at the Justine Blainey Wellness Center, and she is a passionate warrior for your health. Her main objective is to be able to provide you the very best care so that you can be the best version of yourself. Please help me welcome Dr. Justine.
All right, everybody, how do we be radiant? Well, this information comes from the Health Realizations Inc. It's an article, so we're following with that article. We've got amazing information coming up for you to be more radiant, more energy. Yes, I'm in my 50s, and we want to be in top shape to enjoy our family, our community, our volunteer work, our grandchildren coming, or we have them already. So stay tuned with so much more information coming up. We have information about how our environment affects our mental health, getting to know our new naturopath, Dr. Selma, learning about sinus problems. Our Dying with Docs, sign up for that at the front desk. Last one was a blast on Alzheimer's, dementia, and protecting that brain. This one's on arthritis and inflammation. So you sign up for that one at the front. Stay tuned. Every week we have something for you. But today we're talking about radiant energy into our 50s and the raw diet. Our body is always changing. So we're either working on it and improving or it's going down. No work means decline. No decision is a decision. We have to be putting effort in on a regular basis, or there's always a breakdown process. So these decisions are our daily habits, the gas that goes in the tank, the food that goes in the tank, and our daily actions, little steps that make that long term impact. So today's choices shape tomorrow's quality of life. Again, today's choices shape tomorrow's quality of life. So we know that healthy aging is possible. It is possible to be fit at any age. My grandmother, grandfather both lived to 98. It is possible. And more people now into their 50s, 70s are redefining their lives through being active in a mindful way. They're making mindful choices so they have more energy and they're enjoying those retired years. So Dr. Robert Kaser is a former raw bodybuilder and raw foodist. He recovered from a fractured back, a broken back, and achieved his peak fitness. Like that means he was at his absolute best at 50 years of age. So some of these great hints come from the raw diet, and we're going to cover it together. And that's to get that radiant energy. So Dr. Kaser and the raw food lifestyle focuses on unprocessed whole raw foods. Now, this is something that is extremely difficult to do. I started doing it about 20 years ago and did it for 18 months, the raw food. And at the beginning, I had no clue what I was doing, just eating nuts and nuts and nuts and starving. I was cold because I didn't know how to have warm foods. So it does require research. I was dared into it and just went in head first. And in hindsight, I think it would have been better to do more research. I ended up hiring a raw food chef to teach me how to make like raw food apple pie, raw food, different types of salads, raw food, different types of lasagna, raw food. I think it was sweet potato pie that was amazing. How to make crusts with nuts and seeds and do it in a healthy way. So very cautious that eating a full raw food diet is not for everyone. It's for everyone to focus on unprocessed whole foods and adding more of those into your diet. That's more vegetables, fruits, nuts, and rarely or reducing the amount of meat, fish and dairy. So that is because those proteins become acidic. So the raw food diet focuses on reducing the acidity in your diet. So if you look at this pyramid, you'll see that the majority is water. That's adding, 2 liters of water a day. That's not just your 8-10 ounce glasses. You're increasing over half your body weight. So if you're 160 pounds, that's the 8-10 ounce glasses. Now you're going to 10-10 ounce glasses. You see at the bottom period, increasing as much greens 3 to 4 times a day, then your fruits and vegetables, then your sprouts and legumes. Raw food diet focus on sprouting. And the good news is sprouting is free pretty much. You take those vegetables, you put them in water with a wet cloth, and they will sprout on their own on your kitchen counter. You can make your own sprouts. It does require a little bit of research, but once you get going, it's pretty much free, and it's a huge amount of nutrients in those sprouts. Then it's moderate amounts of proteins, nuts and seeds. Then you get into juicing and adding your different types of herbs. Nutritional yeast, they put at the top, that has high B12. And the reason why you want to supplement with B12 and have nutritional yeast, which has B12, is because you're lowering your meat. So if you're vegetarian, you want to make sure you have B12. And if you don't, you get numbness and tingling in your feet, numbness and tingling in your hands. And it's your whole foot, your whole hand, not in a nerve pattern. So it is a difficult thing to do full raw food diet, but to go partially is absolutely amazing for everyone. This is when you're not heating the foods, so you want to be careful. It's more like having sushi, so you really need to know the source of your dairy, meat, and fish to make sure it's not full of preservatives, it's not unhealthy, and you're not going to get sick. So again, be very, very cautious. We're looking to reduce cooking because that's what takes away some of the amazing nutrients that our body needs. So the living foods philosophy, that means trying to eat more foods that are live, foods by God, foods by nature, foods that come from the earth to help our natural healing processes. This helps get more essential enzymes, vitamins, minerals from those raw foods rather than cooking them away. So the preparation is the key. You're trying to avoid or minimizing all cooking to get rid of those life-giving healing properties. Cooking does destroy some of the nutrients. These enzymes are developed, then you're getting more of them to help your digestion. But some people might need an enzyme supplement if they're a natural enzyme supplement if they're going through with a full raw diet. If you are missing enzymes, that can lead to chronic disease. So processed foods does lead to chronic disease according to multiple research studies. So adding more of these raw foods will remove those toxins, restore the nutrients, get your energy high because you're putting really great nutrients in your tank. So if you look at the picture here, you have this amazing salads with avocados, healthy oils, but you do not want processed meat. So when you see the meat, there is very little meat and it's not processed. And of course, we're not going for the fried foods that you see in the bottom picture there. No fries, no hamburgers, no fake fried chicken nuggets. All of that is just garbage. So as we go towards a real live example, I think of my grandmother just right to the day before she died when we saw her, still had full memory intact, knew about my children, knew where they lived, was able to ask questions. But really at 98, she just decided she'd lost her eyesight. She was tired and she just went to sleep. And what an amazing life to live right to the end where you're able, you're mobile, and you're just deciding, hey, I've had enough. You make your own choice. You for her, she's very religious. For her, she meant that it was time to see my opa, my grandpa, and to go to her creator. So choose to live with this vibrant life. And this is an example here of John and his mother who had surgery at 95. A lot of times they won't do surgery at 95 for a hernia. And then she lived healthy, mobile, exercising more than some of the 40-year-olds that are so sedentary. So her secret, living into her 95, surviving and doing well post surgery, was eating healthy and being extremely active. And that was my grandparents as well. They would swim across the lake. They would do their walks. They would do their sit and fits. They would do their yogas, sit and fit, all the way into their 90s. So these examples are here because you can do it. Now, with this raw diet, it does give you lots of energy. We do need that balance. And there's a lot of debate about all the different diets, whether you go Atkins, you go paleo, you go keto. Everything has to still be in moderation. For example, I'm following keto diet again, but I still need to cycle. You can't do it long term, or you certainly don't want dirty keto. With keto, I'm adding a lot of raw foods, a lot more salads, making my homemade salad dressings. So careful that certain foods, though, do need to be cooked. Like beans and tomatoes might do better if they're cooked. So when you're on the raw food diet, what I learned is that you can still steam foods to get those warm foods. You can still make a lot of soups that we did in with warm water in the Vitamix. So you're still able to, because I was drinking a lot of just warm water because I was cold. It does change your metabolic rate. So it does take a little bit of time to get used to, and how to have still enjoy some warm foods that are raw. Now, part of having amazing energy, radiant lifestyle is trying to be more alkaline. The experts believe that more restoring alkaline acid balanced foods restore your strength and your vitality. They also know if you're more acidic, you're more prone to cancer, you're more prone to chronic disease. So the ideal range is that 7.3, 7.4 area, being slightly alkaline. Now, you can do alkaline drops, but best to control it with natural foods. Careful that tap water can be a challenge. So you want to make sure if you at our office, you can fill your water bottles as much as you want. Healthy water at home. You can have a Kenga, that's a little bit more expensive, but cheaper is a Brita. Just trying to make your water healthier at home. Careful that vinegar, orange juice, fruits, pops, sodas, especially energy drinks, all of that can make meats, can make you more acidic and make you more prone to things like acid reflux. So when we're looking at an alkaline diet balance, that's going to help our body to maintain those essential minerals like potassium, sodium, magnesium, calcium. That's magnesium is going to help your muscles, even your smooth muscle around your heart and your organs. The sodium, the potassium is going to help your heart and your blood function. So very, very important. If you're more alkaline, you're going to be able to help your heart and your blood, your lymphatic drainage, and prevent chronic disease. So some of the symptoms of acidosis, that means you're more acidic, might be things in your affecting your nervous system, which chiropractors need to be aware of. It can affect headache, sleepiness, confusion. If it gets very, very serious, extreme fatigue, coma, affects your breath, your breathing, affects your heart rate, it affects your strength, your muscles, and your digestive system. Now, if you go too extreme, for example, you say, "Oh, I'm acidic. I can add too many drops," or "I'm going to add salt pills or alkaline pills into my water." You can go to the extreme. Even if you go to the raw diet, you can go to the extreme. So you do want to make sure you can test your pH levels, because again, it can affect your nervous system, confusion, lightheadedness. It can affect hand tremors, tingling, or numbness in your hands, your feet, your face. It can affect twitching or tremors in your muscles and affect your digestive system. So, very important too, if you're going with the raw diet, you're switching to a low acidic diet for that energy, that you're testing, not guessing. I believe that for all of our systems, test, don't guess. So you can test your pH levels at our office. It's a pH strip that you put under your tongue. And again, you want to try and get into those neutral levels. And that means staying away from the fried foods, tomatoes, the sugars, the treats, heavy amounts of meats. And you're looking towards those greens, those healthy fruits, and healthy waters. You can also test it with urine or blood levels. You can get urine sticks as well to test your pH, and they can be bought also at the health food store. So definitely test, don't guess. The acidic producing foods are animal proteins, sugars, caffeines, processed foods. To go on the more alkaline, which is a healthier way, more vegetables, more fruits. Now, there are other areas can affect your pH. That's increased stress, increased pollution, more toxicity, not doing detoxes to get rid of toxins in your body, and contaminated water. So one of the areas to manage is managing our diet for that energy. So the easier way is aiming for 75 to 80% of our diet alkaline. That gives you more of that moderate function. So you're looking to 70, 80% more raw diet. So if you, for example, look at the picture of the salads here, you can see avocado, chickpeas, nuts, seeds. You can look at cucumbers, Brussels sprouts. You can look at sprouting. You can look at different types of salads and cabbages and vegetables. You can look at different nuts and seeds. And some of the vegetables, again, you can steam to be able to add to your salads or to have them warm. So 75 to 80% raw, way to go for that radiant energy. Now, of course, if you want that radiant energy, you've got to move. We know there's a huge cost to inactivity. Many people would say that that is the new epidemic, that there's just, we're sitting way too much. We sit on the way to the car, on the way to eat breakfast, sit on the way to the car, sit at work, sit at lunch, sit at work, sit on the way to the car, sit at dinner, and sit at our computer, or sit in front of a tablet, a TV. That's sitting a lot. So we want to make sure that we're standing at least every 15 minutes. Even if you just stand, reach the sky and stand and sit back down. If possible, on the hour, 10 body weight squats, just as low as you can go. We know if you're immobile, meaning not moving for long periods of time, those joints get stiff, those muscles get stiff, and then it becomes harder and harder to stretch, and those muscles can and ligaments can get permanently shortened. So to add energy, vitality, we've got to improve our flexibility. Flexibility is the key to aging. If we don't move, that increases our aging. So active stretches and flexibility increases our longevity in a natural, powerful way. So if we look at the benefits of flexibility, improves your daily performance, your range of motion, reduces your risk of falling, and falling, as we'll talk about, increases your risk of disease and death. So it reduces injury, lubricates those joints, makes us feel more alive, enhances neuromuscular coordination, improves our balance, our circulation, our strength and recovery with our muscles, promotes that great posture, preventing those injuries. Amazing hints if we're stretching. So here are some of the keys to stretching and doing it well. But coming up, I just want to review that if we're understanding the risks of falling. So if you as you age, you have more risk of falling. And the more you have risk of falling, the seniors tend to recover very poorly. So the more balance, more coordination, more flexibility, then you have less fear. And what happens is seniors, as they get older, they get more immobile. then they're less flexible. The joints are more stiff. So then they have more risk of falling. So they're more fear. So then they don't move more. And it creates this massive cycle because of that fear and inactivity, more inflexibility, more risk. And so this study here shows that the older you get, the increased risk of falling, the increased risk of death. So people over 85 years of age, falls can be the leading cause of death, according to this study. And women 65, so much younger to 75, falls are the second most common cause of death. So this flexibility, this constant stretching has huge benefits to vitality, energy, and longevity. So, if we're going to talk about the safe ways to stretching, firstly, we want to make sure you have a safe environment. If you're new to stretching, according to Jacques Cotier, want to make sure have something to hold on to if you're starting. Have a mat. Start slowly, moving slowly in and out of stretches. Stretches can begin in bed in the morning. Listen to your body. You're stretching to tension. It should not be painful. As you get better, you can add a little more, add a little bit more, add a little bit more. We want to breathe and relax into those stretches to help our body be more aware and safer. Number 7 is they talk about, Otis talks about holding the stretch for 30 seconds. At the very beginning, that's probably too difficult. Even holding the stretch for 5 seconds is better than nothing. Then 10 seconds, then 15 seconds. And then over time, you can hold that gentle stretch for 30 seconds. It matters more that you're just stretching, you're moving. You do not have to be perfect. You don't have to look good. You don't have to point your toes. You just need to be moving those muscles slowly and getting that gentle, easy breathing and increasing over time to a stretching to 30 seconds. We do not want to bounce with our stretches, especially seniors. You might see younger people bouncing with stretches or warming up easier when you're younger, and that's more of a warming up stretch, that meaning you're not going to the final end point, and it's a warm up motion. Stretching should feel good and be enjoyable. Breathing through. Often you can do it. We often, have the TV on. My husband will have the news or the sports on, stretching and enjoying it. You're not competing on how you can stretch or have better stretch or better flexibility than your peers. Now, this study from Jacques says stretching for 15 to 20 minutes daily. Most people say, oh, I don't have 20 minutes. Well, if you're retired, you do. You just have to make it a priority. But for me, 20 minutes a row, not likely happening. But I will stretch 2 to 3 minutes in the morning, 2 to 3 minutes every couple of hours. So by the end of the day, a little bit of stretching before bed. By the end of the day, I've hit 15, 20 minutes, but I'm not doing it all at once. So find the routine that works for you. When you're working, often that 10 to 15 minutes, or you have small children, it may not be possible all the time, all in a row, but you can do little bits at a time. For me, a lot of stretching can happen in the shower. That's when you're warm. You can be stretching your neck. You can be moving during gentle motions in the shower to get those joints mobile. Of course, stretching and gentle movements can be done. That's called active stretching, not stretch and hold. This is called static stretching that he's talking about. But active or dynamic stretching is more gentle movements that you can do prior to a sport, prior to a walk, prior to a run, that gets your joints more mobile. And then after activity, you can go to some of these longer stretches. Key is start small. If this is overwhelming, just start small. Add a little bit more vegetables every single meal. Add avocado, healthy oils, not those seed oils. So your nutrition is wholesome, sprouted foods. You're adding more whole foods, sprouted foods to your diet. Looking towards consistency, not aiming to be perfect. Remember that 70 to 80%. For some people, that might be, I'm going to eat clean Monday through Friday, but I'm going to enjoy the weekends. For others, is I'm going to enjoy Saturdays. I'm not going to think about it on Saturdays. Maybe it's Friday night at the end of the week, you're changing it. but you're trying to make these small steps to increase that vitality, increase that energy, and your overall longevity and your well-being, your energy. So, what does it have to do with chiropractic? Well, we talked about movement, we talked about mobility, we talked about range of motion, and we talked about lubricating those joints and the healthy foods that lubricate those joints. We also talked about stress and how stress affects your vitality. Well, chiropractic works on all of that. We work on finding and removing those subluxations to help your nervous system function better. We work on improving your posture, improving your strength, improving your brain body connection, moving the joints that you can't move on your own. If those bones are crooked, those vertebrae are out of line, you need a chiropractor that focuses on corrective care to put those joints back in line. Find and remove those subluxations with a very specific adjustment in that area. That means they've done x-rays. They know exactly where they're doing that adjustment. They're doing the testing. They're doing ongoing testing to provide you the best care possible. Chiropractors should be doing regular progress exams, regular evaluations in order to make sure they're providing you the best care. That is what's recommended by the CCO, Chiropractic College of Ontario, a thorough examination and ongoing progress exams so you can be the best and get the best results. Reduce your stress. So follow us with all of our amazing wellness talks on helping to reduce stress, improving your breathing exercises, reducing anxiety, helping with mental health, improving your environment, reducing those toxins, improving your digestion. This is a great one, focusing on that raw diet, that raw foods, and aim for that 75% of raw foods every single day. You got this, guys. Stay tuned. We have more. We look forward to being with you soon.